Budget allows, we'll film the next parts. Kind of been put in a situation where
If one song defines Guns N' Roses, it's November Rain, a 9-minute epic. A rock ballad wrapped in orchestral strings, raw emotion, and one of the most iconic guitar solos ever recorded.
to do the album, it was coming down between that and Sweet Child, and I knew November Rain wasn't done.
But the story behind it? It's not just about music, it's about obsession, heartbreak, and a love that fell apart right in front of the world. Let's go back to 1983. Axl Rose had this habit. Every time he saw a piano, at a party, in a studio, anywhere, he'd sit down and play the same melody. He didn't have lyrics yet. He wasn't even sure what the song was. But it stuck with him. Soft, melancholic. Like something out of an Elton John ballad. Axl was a massive Elton fan. Songs like Your Song and Someone Saved My Life.
Someone saved my life tonight, sugar bear.
Tonight meant everything to him. And somewhere deep down, he wanted to write something just as timeless. But how do you mix that kind of vulnerability with the chaos and power of Guns N' Roses? That answer came in 1985. Axl saw Tommy Lee from Mötley Crüe sit down at a piano and play Home Sweet Home. It was raw, emotional, still loud. That's when it clicked. You could write something beautiful, even in the middle of all the noise. Around that time, Axl was dating Erin Everly, daughter of Don Everly from the Everly Brothers.
Dream, 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 dream. Dream, dream, dream.
Their relationship was intense, passionate, but also completely unstable. The kind of love that burns too hot. It inspired Del James, Axl's close friend, to write a short story called Without You.
The short story is about a rock star who was inspired by Axl, who writes a song called Without You about the woman who he loves but he can't really have.
It told the fictional tale of a rock star who writes a love song for the woman who leaves him. Unable to move on, he spirals into depression. She eventually ends her life, and in the end, so does he. Fiction, but very clearly rooted in real emotions. That story became the emotional blueprint for November Rain. When Guns N' Roses started working on their debut album, Axl thought about including November Rain.
Do the album, it was coming down between that and Sweet Child, and I knew November Rain wasn't done. I didn't really want anybody to help me write it. And at the same time, I knew that it was going to take a lot of work to do what I wanted to do, and I really didn't feel capable, and that the people around me were capable of understanding what I was trying to do, and that there was enough time to do it. So we decided to save it.
But he pulled back. It wasn't ready. He had a sound in his head, full orchestras, dramatic strings, a soaring solo.
One of Nigel's trademarks back on those albums was the way he played the same fill a bunch of times. It's the only time that Axl ever said, play it sort of like this.
And no real way to make it happen yet. He didn't want help. He didn't want to compromise. So he shelved it.
1 week, and there's no way I was going to learn how to communicate with an orchestra. So we brought in.
Years later, during the sessions for Use Your Illusion, Axl finally came back to it. But he still couldn't get a real orchestra. So he created one from scratch.
Every single string sound to create my own 130-piece orchestra.
He sat in a studio surrounded by synthesizers and handpicked thousands of string sounds. Hours of recording, one note at a time.
They were actually playing, and it was a way for me to be around an orchestra and see that, because it's not like I have the time or cash to just blow and go set up an orchestra somewhere. It has to be for something productive, and this definitely was.
He built a full orchestral arrangement. all on his own. Then there was Slash. From the moment Axl wrote the piano melody, he imagined Slash's guitar slicing through the quiet. That epic solo played in the middle of a desert in the music video. It had always been part of the plan. It wasn't a last-minute idea. It was baked into the heart of the song. The original version of November Rain ran almost 20 minutes. Eventually, Axl cut it down to 9. Still long, especially for a rock single. But radio stations played it anyway. It was too powerful to ignore. Then there's the final 2 minutes, the part that hits like a funeral march. That piano outro was credited to drummer Jim Gordon. But years later, singer Rita Coolidge revealed the melody may have been lifted from a song she co-wrote with Gordon called Time. She was never credited. Gordon's story turned darker. He was a brilliant session drummer, but he was also struggling with undiagnosed schizophrenia. In 1983, in the grip of his illness, he murdered his own mother. He was sentenced to life in prison. He died there in 2023. When it came time to film the music video, Guns N' Roses went big. A $1.5 million production, the most expensive rock video ever made at the time. Axl's girlfriend, Stephanie Seymour, played the bride. The church, the wedding, the rain, the sudden tragedy. It was all there. But the video left one major question unanswered. How did the bride die? One moment she's dancing at the reception. The next, she's in a coffin, half her face covered by a mirror. Some fans believed it was suicide. Others thought it was just symbolic. No one from the band ever confirmed anything.
Which was beautiful, kind of segued into Without You.
Then if budget allows, we'll film the next parts of the story.
The plan was to explain it all through a trilogy. Don't Cry, November Rain, and then Estranged. 3 videos, 1 continuous storyline. But before the third video could be filmed, Axl and Stephanie broke up.
We had intended to make the sequel or the follow-up or the conclusion of November Rain. Things changed, plans changed.
You know, at first there was that pressure to come up with the part 3 of the trilogy, and why did Steph die, which was the big question. And so that was the initial pressure, and obviously there's a lot of stuff that Axl was going through at the time, which actually pushed us away from that.
Without her, the story couldn't be completed, so Estranged became something else entirely. More surreal, more abstract. A story that drifted away from love and focused on isolation, escape, and personal demons.
There was an evolving that took place that's very hard to rise to transcend the story that we had and that we intended, but kind of been put in a situation where that's what was necessary to make the right video.
So we kind of went way over somewhere else and tried this thing and then that thing, just in terms of discussions and stuff. And then Axl suddenly saw a way through in terms of the conceptual way of dealing with it for himself. So that's how Estranged developed.
And then there's that one guy. In the video during the wedding, he randomly jumps face first into the cake. No setup, no explanation.
Yeah, I showed up to do my guitar solo.
To this day, no one knows why. It just happened. Years later, November Rain became the first music video from the 90s to pass 1 billion views on YouTube. It's now the most watched rock ballad online. The song took almost a decade to finish, but it was worth every second. It's not just about lost love. It's about vulnerability, obsession, and the way art can be built from emotional wreckage. Axl once said the song wasn't about any one person. It was about everyone who's ever loved someone deeply and felt them slip away. November Rain still hits hard, decades later, and maybe it always will. If you loved this story, hit that like button and drop a comment. Tell us your favorite emotional rock ballad or the song that changed the way you felt about love. We'll be back with another untold story, only on Track Tales.